Welcome to the Bourbon Life Podcast, your source for all things bourbon. Join your hosts, Mark and Matt, as they drink and review bourbons, share news about upcoming events, interview the who's who in the bourbon world, and, most importantly, bring you along for the fun of living the bourbon life. Now, here's your hosts, Mark and Matt.
All right, everybody, welcome back for another episode of the Bourbon Life Podcast. I'm your host, Mark, and with me, as always, is my friend, my buddy, Matt. Matt, what's going on, man?
Hey, not much, Mark. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great today. This is exciting. This is going to be a great episode.
I know this is a Bourbon Life podcast, unlike any other that we've had.
It really is. So
far, this was, I think,
we got some guinea pigs that have decided to allow us to try something different, which we really appreciate. So this is going to be a good experience.
I think for once, actually, we are the guests.
Yeah, we are
on the podcast.
But you know, Matt, in a way, it's like coming home.
in a way, you're absolutely right.
Just don't have any drills anywhere nearby, Matt, and everything will be okay today, right?
Keep me out of a brick house, and there won't be an invoice coming from with my name on it.
All right. Well, before we get into everything, I do have to thank our sponsors, and that is the Stave Restaurant out in Millville, Kentucky. So Chef Jonathan Sanning out there prepares some amazing food. And Rebecca and Eric that own it are just great people. So we really appreciate their support. And then also Pinhook Bourbon, our newest sponsor. I keep saying they're our newest sponsor, but they've been on for almost 2 months now, right? So, but we thank them for their sponsorship. You can check them out online as well, pinhookbourbon.com. So Matt, we're going to jump into this because, you know, we got an exciting show. So
yeah, let's
go ahead and do your thing, man.
Right to it.
There you go.
We mentioned that for once, actually, Mark and I kind of feel like the guests because this is, I think back when we started talking about ideas for the podcast, one of the things we really wanted to do was be live and in person at a lot of different distilleries or restaurants or anywhere really that bourbon can be enjoyed.
Anybody that would say, why don't you guys come down?
Yeah, let us sneak in the back door. Then when everything shut down, enter Squadcast, which has been a lifesaver for us. But I digress. So we are live. Well, we're live right now, but you're hearing this a little bit afterward. So we're at Wilderness Trail, and we have with us Jerod and Haley from Wilderness Trail. Everybody, welcome to the Bourbon Life Podcast, and thank you for having us on the Bourbon Life Podcast with you today.
Thanks for coming out, and it's so sweet. You feel like you're home. I was like, oh yeah, you guys have spent enough time here, you know. It is like home. It's nice. We're here. It's currently a rainy day in October, so this is a good day to be inside in our library and, you know, surrounded by friends and bourbon. So
no doubt.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, and it's funny because, you know, we've been down here before once or twice. Actually, you know, I like to tell people how I kind of know the people that are on the show if I do. And Haley, you and I actually. Matt was there as well at Whiskey Bear last year. That was the first time that we met, and Shane and Pat were both there as well. And that was a lot of fun. We learned a lot about what you guys were doing down here. And then I was fortunate enough to get to come back during the barbecue festival last year, and so sad that it didn't go on this year. But last year it was a lot of fun, and got to meet Bill Bender and Mike Hines, who are out of town guys that are big on Instagram and in the bourbon world and everything. But I actually got to meet them here. And if I remember correctly, I think we actually went into the warehouse and there was a 15-year-old barrel of Willet that was sitting in there that Shane put a drill to, and we all got to taste a little bit of that.
Privilege, right? That's some high stakes bourbon right there.
Let me tell you, I was shocked. I was like, Bill Bender, you're my best friend for life, because he's like, why don't you come along with us, Mark? I'm like, okay, Bill, you don't have to twist my arm. So that was awesome. And then we came back. Matt and I were down here in, I guess, beginning of February, and we did
February of this year.
We did a barrel pick, with Eric from Bourbon and Time, and he actually picked 2 barrels, I think, that day, but. We had, needless to say, we had a great time.
Yeah, but it's hard just to pick one barrel here.
Yeah.
It's kind of a common trend with our barrel picks.
We picked 2 ryes. He picked 2 ryes that day, right?
Yep.
So that was fun. But we got to. You guys were great hosts and took care of us. Obviously, I mean, it was an awesome time. I would say it feels like coming home. It's kind of funny to say that, but We love it down here. You guys are doing a great job. So tell us a little bit about our listeners, a little bit about yourselves, who you are and what you do and how you guys got into doing what you're doing.
Jerod's giving me the ladies first, so I'll start. My name is Haley Perros. I am, I guess, for the most fitting term, a brand ambassador for Wilderness Trail Distillery. It's funny, we're such a growing company, but we all wear so many hats here. And so do a lot of sales management and marketing, mostly for the North America. The North American states, and then our social media as well. And so I've been here for 4 years now, and excited to watch it all grow. I was here pre-bourbon, so it's exciting to finally have product out and now have plenty to choose from.
Yeah, I was going to say, and I guess before you jump in, Matt and I have a terrible habit of doing this. We always start talking and we forget to talk about what we're drinking. So real quick, why don't you guys tell us, and then Jerod, you can come back and tell us about what you do and how you got involved with the industry. But tell us a little bit about what we're drinking on this first go around here.
So this first go around, we're drinking our wheated bourbon.
Yes.
For some people, just wait for this product. They love it.
God, yes.
For those that are looking to buy, it's the yellow label. But this is, so it's a bottled and bond, 100 proof, obviously. This was probably... So this is probably aged for about 4.5 years, I would say. And 64 corn, 24 wheat, 12% malted barley for the mash bill, sweet mash, non-chill filtered. Throw out all those words your listeners probably love to hear.
We all geek out on that stuff.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, it's fun stuff for us too.
Yeah.
So this is that product, and man, it always I've been sitting in on a lot of barrel picks lately. So
that's awful. That's just terrible. You have to do that. I can't
rough.
imagine.
I
Gosh.
know. It's really rough stuff. But we only really offer the rye, either the rye or two ryes, either the rye bourbon or the rye whiskey. So I haven't really been tasting a lot of the wheat. So it's kind of refreshing to go back to it and taste it. And so far it's hitting the spot.
It's not disappointing on a rainy, cold October Monday afternoon, is
Definitely
it, right?
not, no.
All right, Jerod. So before we talk more about what we're getting on this one and tasting, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself? Because this is the first time that we've met, knew who you were, and have heard you on a podcast before with Pat, I believe. I think it was the Dad's
Drinking Bourbon.
Dad's Drinking Bourbon. Yeah, that's right. Those guys are great. I was just down in Nashville. I didn't get to hook up with John while I was down there, but I love their show. Love listening to those guys. They're fun, a lot of fun. So you guys seemed like you had a really good time on that from what I remember. So yeah, but tell us a little bit about who you are and how you got involved with everything.
Yeah, sure. And that was a great time down there. Yeah, that was more, anytime you're around Pat, I just try to let Pat just
right.
go, and stay out of his way. It's such just a fountain of knowledge, really, and
sure.
just keeps going. But yeah, my name is Jerod Smith. I'm a longtime employee here of Wilderness Trail and our other company, Farm Solutions, the side that we do analytics, e-sales and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Kentucky boy, born and raised, bourbon drinker for a really long time. Always like to say, was a drinker before I was supposed to be a bourbon drinker, right? One of those things. And and I'm the other brand manager here at Wilderness Trail. And like Haley said, we do wear many hats. I always kind of joke around that, especially in the early days, more so than now, but even now, we do just a very diverse range of things. It might be, helping clean up the kitchen to get ready for an event,
sure.
Or we might be meeting, with some politician, the governor. We had the Senate Majority Leader here, Mitch McConnell, the other day.
Nice.
Which no matter how you feel about politics, it's
sure.
an honor to have someone of that position be here. To your place and to your distillery. It's cool just seeing that big range of stuff we get to do. And I love working at Wilderness Trail because I am a bourbon nut. And I couldn't do what I do if I didn't like what we made, and,
sure.
and I'm a bourbon drinker. I like to think that I've got a good palate, and I know what I think is good whiskey, and we make some really damn good whiskey here. So I'm proud to be a part of it.
I'm not going to argue with that at all. I mean, that's mm-hmm. Matt, you're over there twisting your glass around, man. What are you picking up on this wheater?
This is really just a great place to start the day. A rainy, overcast autumn day here in Kentucky, and this is a great product to start with. I get a lot of honey on the nose and like a nougat or almond. I
get the sweetness. I can't. Matt, like we always talk about that your palate and your sense of coming from the cooking and the bakery and everything that you've done in the past, I think your descriptors are much better than me saying sweet.
Still not wrong.
It's spicy, So what about you guys? I mean, this is kind of your stuff. So what do you guys get on this when you smell it and you taste it?
Well, I'll just comment on something on the nose that this is going to be a terrible answer because I can't put my finger on it. But on this barrel right here, I'm just getting a smell that reminds me of like, not like clothes dried on the clothesline.
Clothesline, yeah.
Right. But kind of like clothes that you've kind of worn outside for a little bit that are still clean. You know what I mean? It's kind of got that outside smell, just a good clean outside smell coming from this. And I can't put my finger on it. Of course, you got all the other great notes. This wheated bourbon, I love it. And I drink so much of it that sometimes I just got to quit thinking about it because you know what I mean. Because where I've got such a mental library of so many barrels in my head of this wheated stuff that I just really enjoy it. I enjoy all of our products, but this kind of being our first and still our most popular.
Yeah.
It's always got a little special place with me here. So
yeah. What about you, Haley?
It's like an almond joy.
Almond joy. There you go. That's a good. Yeah. That's good. I can see that. Definitely. And the taste on it though, I love the flavor of this. Just the different combinations of sweetness and a little bit of spiciness to it still, even though you're not, you're dealing with a wheated mash bill, I still get a little bit of a spice to it. It's not, it's 100 proof, right? Bottled in Bond. Yeah. So, it's not obviously not hot at all. Now you guys do the sweet mash, right? Mm-hmm. So you guys, one of you want to explain, because I know a lot of our listeners understand that, but some of them probably don't really know what the nuances are to that, what the difference is really between the sweet and the sour.
Yeah. So kind of just, since we're comparing them, let's talk about both of them. And let's talk about sour mash first, because that's of course the most ubiquitous, right?
Yeah.
95%, I'm just throwing a number out there, 98% of all whiskeys, right, are made with sour mash. And sour mash is a process where after you distill the mash, so after you boil the alcohol from, the grain, yeast mixture, all that stuff, what's left over becomes very acidic. So that mash, there's no alcohol left. There's a lot of other, acids, fatty acids, proteins, of course, a lot of water and stuff like that.
Right.
But it gets very, very very acidic on the pH. It gets down into the high 2s, low 3s on the pH. So being fairly acidic, kind of over time, we call it that deduction science, but really that trial and error. Distillers learn that if I put a little bit of this old stuff back into my new, that you got a little bit better flavor. They didn't really know why at the time, but it was really because it was helping control some bacteria. Bacteria is our number one enemy in a distillery, right? We fight against bacteria in that fermentation day in, day out. That is our biggest competitor, because bacteria eat sugar way better than yeast can. They multiply faster, and they don't give you alcohol as an end result. So the sour mash method was a way to help kind of control that before we knew about germ theory and stuff like that. As we do know about bacteria now and can analyze stuff and pretty much in real time, pull a sample in 20 minutes, we've got a good count of what kind of, pathogens might be in there or whatever. Sure. Sour mash has really stayed popular because it's easy to do and it helps you stay a little bit cleaner. You can be a little bit lax, because you don't have to clean as much because you do have this kind of a more acidic mixture.
Yeah.
The big benefit nowadays too is that you get a lot more flavor continuity. If you're using 30% of your old batch back into your new batch, it's going to taste a lot like that old batch.
Right.
Yeah. And that helps distilleries too, right? So sweet mash is just kind of a more basic, more older, but more primitive way of just starting with fresh water, grains, and yeast every time, right?
So it's like starting from scratch.
With
every batch.
Yeah, and you do definitely get more flavor because you've got mash and products and stuff that has not already been through that cycle, right?
Sure.
When that sour mash comes back in, it doesn't have any alcohol benefit to it. It's got not a whole lot of flavor benefit to it in there. So whenever we start from scratch, that whole firm is just fresh, good grains and stuff in there, getting that good flavor. But as kind of a side effect of that is you do have to be a lot more on your toes when it comes to cleanliness, because you are at a much more neutral pH. You're at a lot more habitable zone for bacteria to grow and overtake that fermentation. as professionals, professional distillers, we kind of take that consistency is the mark of a professional, right? So if you're starting every batch from scratch, it's kind of hard to keep a brand going, right? Because you want everything to kind of a familiar taste, right? Sure. Even though you have those nuances of single barrel.
Sure.
So it does really require us just to make sure that we're kind of doing our best day in, day out. It kind of creates that culture of high standards with us in our production. So it's something really cool to talk about, but you definitely get flavor benefits because of that freshness.
Sure.
But for me, the big benefit is you have a much more neutral spirit coming off of the still. So when you're coming off the still, the new make itself is less acidic. So it's much sweeter to drink. It's a sipping whiskey at 137 proof, drinking it right off of off the doubler there, off the condenser. So in my opinion, of course, everything's like, your opinion, right, when it comes to this, because nobody can tell you what tastes good and what doesn't.
Right,
your opinion is what you like.
Sure.
But in my opinion, it definitely gives you better tasting whiskey earlier. Maybe down the road that will kind of even out. But going into the barrel, having to have those higher standards, keeping a higher level of quality of what we do, we're needing kind of less remediation time in the barrel, right? We're in there getting color, getting flavor, but we're not really needing so much time in there to go through that char layer to help kind of clean up the different fusels, those different compounds
Gotcha.
that are byproducts that we just don't have just because they're not going in there in the first place for us. So long story short, sweet mash definitely is an older way of doing things. It's a simpler way of doing things, but we believe it's a better way, and it's a way that makes Wilderness Trail what it is.
So are you a doctor as well, or like a PhD, chemical engineering?
I've hung out with Pat a whole lot, so I'm just regurgitating everything from the good Dr. Heist right here.
Hey, that makes perfect sense. And it seems like, I think it was when I was down here on the barbecue thing, and Pat and Shane were taking us around, and Pat was talking, and I could have sworn, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought he said that maybe sometimes you don't get as much of a burn with a sweet mash. Is that true, or is that something that I just made up that I thought I heard?
No, totally. That burn a lot of times is those fusel oils. Yep. So for folks that don't know, fusel oils are actually alcohols that the yeast make during the fermentation process. And these are just a byproduct that's going to be in every fermentation, no matter how close of an eye you keep on it.
Yep.
What makes fusels kind of tough to deal with is they have a very similar boiling point to ethyl alcohol.
Okay.
So distillation is all about boiling points, right?
Right.
So if you have something a very close boiling point to your end product, you're not going to be able to get rid of a lot of that without cutting in, into your stuff, right? So fusels are one of those things that need that remediation time in the barrel. It needs to go in and out of that charcoal layer to help clean that product up. And we're going in with just less fusels,
Gotcha.
So right off the bat, even off the still, it's less burn.
Okay.
With alcohol, you get a heat. That heat is the ethanol kind of tearing off your esophagus lining as it goes down, right?
Hey.
Yeah.
That's the heat. That's the good stuff on a cold day. You like that, man. But that burn is a lot of fusels. Sometimes
Gotcha.
it's going to be in there. Sometimes it might be a little alcohol burn, but most of the time it's other impurities that give you that.
Okay. All right, well, so I didn't make that up. Great.
No, and essentially also just being more basic on the pH scale.
Sure.
Our mash is going to be upwards in the 3 to 4 to even 5 on the pH scale, whereas with a sour mash, you're much more acidic, so that also plays
Gotcha.
a role into it as well. So yeah, no, not made up at all.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad. I was like, for some reason that stuck in my mind. I'm like, did I really hear him say? Of course, that was at the barbecue festival, so who knows what I heard, or
a lot's going on.
Who knows? So now you guys have been here. Well, actually, I guess Pat and Shane, they started everything really as Firm Solutions. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. So you kind of tell everybody a little bit about what that was, what that is, what Firm Solutions, what they do.
Sure. Okay. So Firm Solutions basically started nearly 20 years ago at this point. A little bit of, I guess, a background about Pat and Shane, if you want, is they met in a rock band. And so and if you know anything about Pat, that makes perfect sense.
It's even funnier. Sort of interrupted. It's hard metal, not like they're playing like Journey knockoffs or anything. Like this is like.
Well, I was going to say when I came down for the barbecue festival, I pulled in, tons of people here, parked way out in the field. And I'm walking in and I hear this band playing. It's like Disturbed or, which I listened to. Well, we listened, on the way down here. I got Turbo or Octane on Sirius. But I walked in and I'm like, man, who is this band? Because they're killing it. And they're playing like this at this barbecue festival in Central Kentucky. They're playing this hard 90s, heavy metal rock. And then I look up on stage and it's Pat. And I had no idea.
Dr. Heist.
Yeah, that's funny. But yeah, so that's how they met.
That's how they met. Yeah. That is how they met. So they met in a rock band. They had like a mutual friend that was a drummer and was looking to form a band, and between Pat and Shane. So Shane played guitar, and Pat sang, and they rocked and rolled for a little while, but they realized that that's not maybe not what's going to pay the bills at the end of the day. I don't think their music career was going to take off like they planned. So they ended up being two minds of science, a mechanical engineer, a molecular biologist, and kind of putting their brains together to form this company, Ferm Solutions, and it's FERM, so Ferm is in fermentation, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Fermentation science. And truly the beginning of it was really focused on our clientele was ethanol companies. We were making yeast, in enzymes, antibiotics, right? Because hopefully no one's drinking their gasoline, so you can regulate your fermentation by throwing antibiotics in there and things like that. And after a few years of doing that, cut to kind of the mid 2000s, and the bourbon boom's really hitting, and our clientele's changed quite a bit at this point. And so now we're getting not only just ethanol companies, but now we're getting master distillers and people like that.
Right.
And they it kind of started with, hey, we're having trouble with the firm, or hey, we're looking to try a new yeast strain, we're looking to change something up, and just went from kind of selling yeast and consulting on yeast to troubleshooting to doing using Shane's skills to do kind of full-blown distillation system setups. And so we'll help you, we'll go everything from down to the molecule to your entire setup if you need it. So and we had kind of the clientele span from brand new distilleries who were looking to get a start, kind of looking to know where to go, and having Shane and Pat kind of in there and suit them up with everything, to people who've been doing this for decades, and their grandfathers have been doing it before them, and them coming to kind of seek either help or improvement of some sort. So
now, did I hear this as well? See, it's like, did I hear this? Did I read this? That Ferm Solutions is like the second or third largest provider of yeast to distilleries and whatever, or like not just distilleries, but I guess to refineries too, right? You guys like the second or third largest yeast provider in the world or something. Does that sound accurate or close to it, or is it?
Honestly, I don't know.
Did I make that? See, I made that one up.
That could be. No. Yeah, and I don't know. Like, it's been a little bit since I've kind of was on that side of the business to keep up with that.
Right, gotcha.
But with fuel ethanol production being the majority of the alcohol made in America, as of say a couple of years ago, 20% of the distilled spirits in America was made from our yeast strains. So
wow.
So that includes fuel ethanol. That includes all kinds of potable, drinkable alcohol too. Then
wow, that's really impressive.
So pretty sure, if, like right now in your gas tank, there is ethanol molecules made from Ferm Solutions yeast. It's a good bit.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a good guarantee.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And you know what I was going to say, we're probably getting close to the end of the first session. I was going to jump in and talk about the distillery itself, but let's kind of finish up on this first round. Matt, this is so much better than working, because we both took off work. People don't know probably, but we both work full time. But we both took off work this afternoon so we could hang out and drink. So this is a much better way to spend a Monday afternoon.
Thanks for sacrificing your time.
Anytime, twist our arms, we'll come back. It's only 45 minutes away from Lexington, so we're happy to drive down. But Matt, what are you thinking on this, closing out on the wheated bourbon? What do you think?
I remember the first time I tried the wheated bourbon, this product, just thinking, well, what we were talking about earlier was sweet mash, thinking, wow, they have achieved something really great in such a short amount of time, because I knew it was bottled in Bond and it was a new offering, and someone told me it was right around 4 years. And so I thought, okay, we'll give it a try.
Sure.
But the sweet mash really does take a lot of the age out of this product. It drinks a lot older. It has a really, really round flavor. It's a really, really great bourbon. I can fully say that I would recommend this to anyone.
Yeah, definitely. It's on my bar. There's no doubt about it. So I love it. And Well, obviously I enjoyed it. My glass has been empty now for the last 5 or 6 minutes already. So, I'm obviously a big fan of it. But yeah, I just love it's just so well rounded for a little over 4 years old. It's just it's an incredible bourbon. So now, we'll talk about distribution and stuff later. I was just like, you guys need to get some of this, but it's like, I don't know if everybody can at this point yet, but yeah, this is great. So what about you guys? I mean, I'm sure you love it. It's your stuff, right? So
I love it. Going back to earlier, you're talking about like, burning stuff.
Sure.
When I describe our weeded stuff, sometimes I hate to use this word because it kills me, but the smooth, smooth,
sure.
Right?
Right.
Usually smooth means it goes down easy, right? You can drink it fast and get hammered on it, right?
Right.
It doesn't make you shudder when you drink it. That's smooth. So smooth usually comes at a lack of complexity, right? A lot of times that complex flavors are really, you got to kind of take the good and the bad, right? You got to take some heat with that sometimes. We're smooth but complex, and that's what I like about us. Without a lot of those fusels, there's not a lot of that heat up front. You can drink this, 4.5. We've got 5. Some of our products, 5.5 on the shelf. We got a 6-year-old, age-dated bottle out now. You can drink this, on the spectrum of great bourbons. It's a younger bourbon, but it sips as well.
Sure.
It's got that complexity. You don't need to kind of cut it with water every time. You don't need to have a bottle of something sitting next to you to drink on. So,
very easy to drink, no question about it, and can put a hurt on a bottle for sure. All right, so we'll close out this session. We'll get a word from our sponsor, and we'll come back in just a minute with more with Haley and Jerod. So everybody did you want to say something?
Oh, no, I'm just excited for the next round.
All right, we'll be back in just a second. Yeah, so everybody just jazz hands. I'm so focused on trying to wrap this session up, I wasn't even paying attention. So I get it now, but yeah, we'll be back with more in just a second. Everybody just sit tight. Thanks. Hey, Bourbon Lifers. When you're out hunting for those hard-to-find bottles or just enjoying the distilleries of Central Kentucky, you're going to work up an appetite. And when it's time to refuel, we suggest that you visit our good friends Rebecca and Eric Burnworth at the Stave Restaurant. Located at 5711 McCracken Pike in Millville, Kentucky, close to Castle and Key and Woodford Reserve, the Stave Restaurant is just off the beaten path, nestled on the banks of Glens Creek. Chef Jonathan Sanning prepares amazing food each day featuring an elevated Kentucky-inspired cuisine. You can take our word for it. The food alone is worth the trip to the Stave. With a full-service bar, great bourbon flights, and signature cocktails, the Stave is the perfect place to catch up with friends after a fun-filled day of touring the local distilleries. And you can even purchase bottles of bourbon to take home with you while you're there. Make sure to follow the Stave on Instagram and Facebook at The Stave Kentucky, or visit them online at thestavekentucky.com to stay up to date on everything that's going on. The Stave Restaurant is a bourbon lover's paradise, right here in the heart of bourbon country. All right, everybody, welcome back for round 2 of the Bourbon Life Podcast. I'm your host, Mark, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Matt. Matt, how are you doing this afternoon?
Hey, Mark, I'm doing great. We are back. How are you doing?
I'm doing really good today, man.
No kidding.
I said, I'm having a good time, even though it's a nasty day. We're sitting, and I love these chairs. I got to say, we are here at Wilderness Trail, and we're in the library, which I've never been in. This is really nice, and all these bottles. So are these?
Yeah, this is like the library that I wanted.
I need a library.
Yeah, we need it that has like no books, but all bourbon and rye.
Yeah, this would be great. And these chairs, nice leather.
You keep talking about these chairs.
Chairs, man. They're so much better than what we have in our Bourbon Life studio in the basement.
Trail. Come here for the chairs.
There you go. Come here for the
for the bourbon. Stay for the chairs. There it is.
That's a great. You guys should put that on a shirt or something. I think, right?
Our next shirt. Be looking for it.
But yeah, so Matt, you tell everybody. Of course, they know who we got with them.
Yeah, that's right. So we are back. Haley and Jerod came back for session number 2.
Thank you guys.
The Bourbon Life Podcast. Yeah, thank you guys not only for coming back, for having us here, and for having us back for session or round number 2 of the Bourbon Life Podcast here at Wilderness Trail. And what do we have poured up?
So our first pour, because spoiler alert, we might do 2. So our first pour, this is the rye bourbon, High Rye Bourbon.
Yeah.
So this is kind of, I call it the twin to our wheated bourbon, because it is also bottled and bond, so it's going to be 4 years old, 100 proof, and mash bill wise it's almost the same. So it's 64 corn, it's also 12% malted barley. You're just changing out that 24% wheat for the 24% rye.
Yeah.
And I think that's an interesting take, just because I think I've never seen a distillery do such a close side-by-side comparison as far as mash bill goes. So for people who maybe, if you got someone who's like, oh, I don't know if I like wheat or rye, here is almost, almost an exact side-by-side comparison, that you could look and see and kind of taste, test to see what they like for their flavor profile and stuff like that. So
that's a good point. I didn't think about that.
Next time you're building a flight, we're having people over.
There you go.
Was that done intentionally, or was that just the mash bills and the yeast and the way everything works out with aging? Is that just the best formula that came about?
I don't know if the exact mash bill was intentional. I think so, though, just to be able to, one, we really liked using higher flavor grains other than corn, right?
Sure.
We really wanted to focus on bringing a high wheat content for our wheat and a high rye for that. So that's kind of how it worked out mash bill wise. And now you'll have something, we're science people, we're nerds, sure. We're giant nerds. And so if you can have controls and experiments and everything that you do, right? And just there's enough variable change from one thing to another. So just shifting just one quality of it, just to be able to say, okay. And it's a great way as a new product, we're fairly young in the industry, as a new product coming out to say, kind of a here's the bar standard for what we have, right? Now here's just the type A version, type B version.
Sure. Yeah.
Try from there. Because that's it. We're very science oriented with everything that we do. It's one of the reasons why we won't do finished, any kind of finished product yet.
Right.
And even talking to Pat about that, there's so many variables involved that it just overwhelms him. It just starts blowing his mind. So we can't even go there yet. But it is one thing that, we love for people to be able to kind of take their own trail, take their own route and figure out what they like as far as when you're drinking this kind of a product. So
sure. Now, talking about the differences, the similar mash bill, obviously they're the same mash bill. Mm-hmm. But now with the yeast, or do you guys use different yeast in your rye versus, basically how do you choose, or is there a different yeast strain for each bourbon and rye, or how does that work?
So no, the majority is done by our one of our FS1 yeast strains. So that's Farm Solutions #1 yeast strain, right? It's it's our workhorse. It makes some really, really delicious liquor. A lot of our customers use that.
Okay.
It's one that the majority of our product will be made with, but we totally will use a different yeast strain if we just want to try. It's like, hey, let's see how this, try something. And kind of like Haley alluded to, we are scientists. We like to experiment, and usually it's not experimenting just for the sake of experimentation. Mm-hmm. We're trying to see something, maybe one of our Firm Solutions customers wants to know how this yeast strain will do at this Brix number, or the Brix is how much sugars are in a fermentation.
Sure.
So at this level of sugar at this temperature, so maybe we'll do one of our own firms and maybe bump the temperature up a degree to see how it works. And of course, if it doesn't taste good, we're not going to put anything out. But if it's our mash bill, whatever, that little kind of experiment might just be something that just goes in and end up being a single barrel and made with a different yeast strain. And for the most part, you might not ever know, or like that. We have a library of over 6,000 different yeast isolates. Mm-hmm. Most of those are Saccharomyces cerevisiae, right? All the yeast are one species,
right?
But it's those different isolates, like different types, right? Just kind of like how we're all Homo sapiens and we're all a little bit different, and same thing with the yeast. So
sure,
it's a good way. I've never heard it put that way.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's a good way to think about it.
Yeah, and we do yeast for such a diverse range of customers, from fuel ethanol, where they don't give a damn about flavor, right?
Sure,
it's just about output, versus
this gas is delicious.
It's premium.
Yeah, versus it might be a very specific yeast for a craft beer company that wants to do this, sour, and they need this, one yeast that will handle, the level of acidity, the bacteria, coexistence, So we definitely have that full width of spectrums with that.
Yeah.
Very cool. Matt, what are you getting on this one?
I'm getting overwhelming raspberries.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's really fruity.
It is fruity. Yeah. And on the taste, well, I hate to say, and I know some people get so offended when you say bubble gum, but my God, when I smell it, it's sweet. It reminds me of bubble gum, which is crazy when you talk about a rye, but I love it when I get that sweetness off a rye, but then you take the taste and it's yep, that's not bubble gum. It's like that, you get that rye spice to it. There is that sweetness that stays with it. but that rye really shines through at 24%. Matt, I'm sure that's right in your wheelhouse, right?
Oh yeah, this is.
Yeah, for everybody playing Bourbon Life Bingo at home, it's a higher rye. It's a higher rye mash bill. So we got that. So what about you guys? What do you guys get on this when you smell it and taste it?
Well, I just want to hit on your bubblegum note there. Rye is a definitely much more dynamic grain as far as flavors and stuff. You never know when or whatever, but sometimes we walking by one of the fermentations of the rye whiskey or the high rye bourbon, and it smells exactly just like that bubble gum, like it smells like you're right in the face of a 4-year-old, chewing a big mouthful of double bubble right there. It's really overwhelming, and then it might be gone an hour later as that fermentation progresses. But yeah, sometimes in that rye whiskey, I remember our very very first release of rye. That went to Bill Thomas over at Jack Rose in DC.
Oh yeah.
And that was really my very first big introduction to bubblegum. I mean, I've smelled a little bit before in whiskey, but that was like, especially in our first product too.
Yeah.
That it was really just that big predominant note, and kind of always thought a lot of people were BSing about it, until it really just hits you like that.
It does, and some, I always try to be careful because, especially if I'm talking to the distiller, I don't want to be like, oh yeah, your whiskey tastes like bubblegum, because I don't want them to be like, what? You never know. You don't want to be offensive. I don't want to say, hey, your whiskey tastes like pepperoni pizza.
Sure, they've heard worse, probably
something like that. Right? But yeah, bubblegum for ryes for some reason, and I love it. I love it when I pick up mint, and I don't really get mint on this at all, but I get that bubblegum, and I love when I get bubblegum off of a higher rye bourbon. It's that sweetness. But then when you taste it and you get that spiciness, it's great.
Yeah. One thing I will note that, and again, this is kind of my palate picking up on this. Everybody's different, but from our ryes, our high rye bourbon, our rye whiskeys, they're not super heavy on the dill flavor. Yeah. And for me, I love that because I am not a pickle fan.
Gotcha.
I mean, I hate pickles. I really do. Like if I get a burger that has pickles on it, the whole burger has to go back because now pickle juice is in my bun and it's probably somewhere else. But
you should meet my wife. You and my wife would get along so well. Oh my God, you're like the only other person in this world I've ever met that feels that way.
Yeah. Oh my gosh,
about pickles.
It's so funny because I love pickles.
Yeah.
We did a presentation for, I can't remember, I think New Orleans Bourbon Society. And I always meet people who love pickles and counter pickles. And so I always make fun of Jerod because usually he's the outsider.
Sure.
And then we do this online tasting thing for them, and they all have their stuff. And I was like, and the good thing is, I was like, for Jerod, like it doesn't have the dill flavor, and everyone was like, we hate pickles.
No way.
What
the heck?
I know, it was a whole crowd of them. I was like, wow, okay. There's
anti-pickleites, man. What the heck?
Is this?
I speak truth to power, guys. The big pickle lobby will not silence me whatsoever.
Oh man, but yeah, this is a really good bourbon.
It's tasty.
Yeah, with that high rye or the higher rye content to it. It definitely lends to that.
To me, this one's always like a dessert bourbon. I always get like, I don't know. And I don't know. I feel like bubblegum's never an insult, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm glad you don't feel that way.
I don't feel like it is. And there have been some bottles for us that that is the flavor of the bottle. It's Hubba Bubba. Like it's just there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think with our high rye bourbon, I always get very like I get the raspberry, but like a dessert chocolate raspberry, like that kind of, I always get really chocolatey notes with ours.
And that's, I guess maybe from the malted barley more than stuff that causes that chocolatey.
allows it to pop through. Yeah. Those chemical notes.
Yeah, I can see it. See, I love the power of suggestion because once you say it, I still don't get the raspberries, Matt. I'm so sorry. I'm not picking that, but I do get that.
That's a shame because, man,
you're having a great chocolate covered raspberry right now. I'm having chocolate covered bubble gum, which is,
great. What a combination.
I didn't get the raspberry, but then the bubble gum came to me.
Yeah.
Big time. It's almost like a barley gum. It kind of had like a little malty gum flavor. But I wasn't getting it before, but I can't deny it now. It's very gummy for sure.
Yeah, it's really cool. I like this. So we're gonna do 2 in this round. Spoiler alert, right? So I guess we'll wrap it up on this one. And I hate to push it to such a quick review on this one, but I mean, this is another bottle. I have a bottle of all of these at home. But yeah, Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, this is another that's just always open on the bar.
Just want to point out as Haley pours this beautiful bottle there, notice that level of char in the bottom. When we talk about non-chill filtered.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we're not really particulate filtered either. Like this is out of the barrel.
Nice.
That is a very large layer of char in a production bottle. Some folks will see that and even call us like, hey, I bought this bottle and it's contaminated.
There's
and we're like,
crap
no.
in my bottle, dude.
It's like that we just want that. We want you to be able to drink that as much as close as to it as we drink it. And for the single barrel rye, that's really it. It's straight out of the barrel, no cutting whatsoever.
Yeah,
and with a high level of char still in it.
So let's hear it. Wait.
You ready for it?
Yeah.
You ready?
Oh, that was nice. Yeah, very nice.
Some bourbon ASMR for you guys. You didn't know you were getting such a treat today.
Oh, that's great. While you're pouring that, Haley, I was going to ask you. We're talking about pickles. So, are you a pickle juice drinker?
Yes.
Because you are a runner, is that correct?
I am.
Yes.
I am.
So I think if I remember correctly, I saw something recently about someone earning, for those of you that are runners out there, I think I saw something about you earning a buckle. Is that correct?
Yeah. Oh, people do notice.
Yeah. Trust me. No, that's.
Thank you.
Yeah. So why don't you tell us? I mean, people want to know about that. That's really cool.
So I am. I've recently entered the world of especially something called ultra running, which is much just longer lengths, and we go through usually on trails.
We're handing out bottles here, handing out glasses here. Yeah. And you're like Santa Claus. This is awesome. It's like here's your treat, or the Easter Bunny or something, right?
It pays to come over and hang out with me.
That's right.
But yeah, so I've only in the last couple of years really started to become the ultimate masochist and start trail running.
Yeah.
And with that though, with this year being the year that it is, virtual races have been kind of the way to go about things. Right. So you kind of get to set your own time. I mean, you still have to go within the parameters of the rules and everything. And so I had to do 100 miles within a certain time length.
Wow.
And I was doing great. I got a head start on everything and was really working hard on it. And then during what would have been kind of like my off time, I broke my toe.
Oh, man.
Oh, no.
During the process, during the last leg of it. And then, that's no pun intended.
Yeah, you trail run hundreds of miles and you just go walking somewhere and break your toe. Right?
It's fine.
Yeah.
And so I broke my toe, and then I get back to running and I can't. So I have to walk the rest of the way.
Oh, man.
So I did probably what I shouldn't have done and walked, I think I had to finish up 8 miles was my last bit of it. It was 8 miles. And so I walked 8 miles on my broken toe. And but I finished and I got it.
And you got the buckle.
I did it. And I got the buckle, which for most people, it's like, well, it's just a belt buckle. It's a fashion accessory. But that is, in the ultra running world, that's the trophy. That's the grand prize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was super excited about it. Just the determination to push through and do something insanely stupid on top of doing something insanely stupid. So
are you hooked on it now? What do you think? Or are you going to do it again? You're going to keep at it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, now, because I do still feel like I have to get the belt buckle proper. Like I have to do it in a non-virtual sense. So I still need to do it. I need to like really earn my stripes.
Yeah.
I've only done 2 ultra marathons, and both of them were virtual, so we're getting there.
Yeah, you're getting there. No kidding. That's great.
There, so.
Matt is a triathlete dude. For you guys playing Bourbon Life Bingo at home. Yeah, so I thought this would be.
So is Mark.
I know I don't look like it, Mark. But I actually did Ironman Louisville in 2013.
Oh, so, nice.
Buddy.
Good to you.
Yeah. So I finished. It took me 16 and a half hours, but I did finish Ironman Louisville. But Matt did Chattanooga last year. So he did a full Ironman. So he's still training, even though everything's been canceled for him, unfortunately, this year. He's still. Oh,
there is a race on the horizon.
All right, there you go.
Yeah, the Louisville Marathon.
Really?
Are they going to do it?
Nice.
That's what they say.
Okay.
Very nice.
Cool.
Very nice. Haley, did you not pour me?
I did I skip one? Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. See, Jerod was handing me a glass, and I was like, no, they're all there.
I don't get to drink this round. This
you just get to spectate.
Yeah.
Jerod is also a runner.
Wow. All right.
You're going to be running a race in November.
Yeah. It's going to do the Rough Trail 50K.
Nice.
So fans of hiking in Eastern Kentucky know the Red River Gorge.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a 50K through the gorge, which is awesome. I did it in 2017, and it's just a tremendous day.
Yeah.
I do drink bourbon when I run.
Do you really?
Not like
Yes.
every day, but during an ultra, absolutely drink bourbon when I run. I carry a 3-ounce flask with me, and I'll probably refill it 2 to 3 times during the race.
Well, I was going to tell you. I brought some gifts. I did bring gifts, and actually one of those is a Bourbon Life flask for you guys. Yeah, so if you need a backup, you can carry that. It's only like a 4-ouncer, 6-ouncer, so it's it's pretty small. So it's
perfect.
I mean, do you need that much bourbon?
is there too much bourbon?
I don't know. Exactly. What happens when you pass out?
How the hell? I mean, seriously. I mean, what do you don't drink it on the run, right? When you take your breaks, or do you actually have it on the trail with you?
Oh well, so let me back up a little bit. I am a definite back of pack runner. Okay, so the only thing I race against is the cutoff time.
Sure,
right. So on this 50K, there's going to be a 10-hour cutoff time, and I will be coming in around the 9-hour mark, maybe 9.5.
Gotcha.
So I do plenty of walked up hills.
Right.
That's great bourbon drinking time is walking up the hills. Probably the aid stations. I'm actually going to leave a bottle at an aid station. I know the race director. I think it's going to be a problem. So anybody running there, check the Martin's Fork aid station for a bottle of Wilderness Trail. There'll be one stashed there.
Nice.
And yeah, so it's just nice to have on the way. Because when, like I said, I'm back at pack, so I'm not competing with nobody, just out there.
Right.
And this one's going to be extra special with some buddies of mine. So just a couple of guys I used to work with way back in the day. I used to do valet with, so 5 of us kind of got back together. And
awesome.
And
Very, very nice.
So is it a self-supported race? You don't have a crew with you? They're just aid stations every.
Just aid stations.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's and it's pretty chill too. Like I said, we're not really racing anybody, so we'll wear our vest. We'll have plenty of food with us. Have my flask with me.
Very cool.
Just having a good time, man. Yeah.
Man, we're gonna have to make this the bourbon, and I can't. I'm not a runner anymore, but we can make it the bourbon running, whatever.
You live the life,
Yeah, I did. Right. I did for a while. That's right. It's like how many toenails have you lost off of this?
Right.
And I do want to make
only half of one.
Yeah.
I want to say about being slow, man. They don't put the finishing time on the medal, right?
That's exactly right.
Everybody gets the same medal, right?
That's right. It's
and for you being fast, it's not applicable, but
not that fast.
Congratulations for your hard work.
He's tall too.
Says the man says the man that's swimming like 3,500 meters in 45 minutes or something now.
Yeah, swimming is not my thing. That's impressive. I mean, I can make it if I need to, but not in that way.
It's probably easier to run 15 miles, 20 miles than to swim 3,500 meters.
Absolutely.
Maybe 30 miles. I don't know, man. That's tough. That's a long way to swim.
I don't know. Okay, well, I guess we better get back to talking about what I'm having a fun time talking about that.
I could just sit here.
We could sit here and drink and talk
endurance sports all day.
Come back.
That's right. All right. So what'd you just pour? That cork pop. That was awesome. That's going to be really nice on the podcast for sure.
That was all for you.
Thank you. What are we doing on this one? What are we drinking?
So this is our rye whiskey, and this is a single barrel cask strength rye whiskey. So anywhere from usually 110 to, I've seen it upwards to 120. This one in particular is 110 proof.
Okay.
And as opposed to our high rye bourbon, this is a low rye content for a whiskey. So it's only 56% rye, 33 corn, 11% malted barley.
Okay.
So much more of we kind of call it, traditional Kentucky rye as opposed to, your more New England.
Right. It's not a 95.5 rye.
It's no 95.5 around here.
Yeah.
None of that here at all. But and what we like to do, or one of the things we kind of boast and are proud of, is that we use all local grains for our products.
Nice.
So our product, most of our grains come from 3 miles away, even from Cavendale Farms. And even then, any of the ancillary farms that we use are all from Kentucky. And we even found a rye that will actually grow, a rye varietal that will grow here.
Really?
Yes. The vegetation I've seen, and it does not look beautiful. But I think that it allows for a much different flavor profile coming through. I think that's what makes our ryes, on top of all the other things that we do, it just really brings out a different flavor characteristic. Is maybe why I think that's why you don't really get stuff like the dill ever with our rye.
Right.
Yeah.
It's spicy, but you get a lot more of those sweeter notes than you get you get a little bit of mint in ours. But I some of them, it's just like, it's like after you wash your mouth out with Listerine, your whole mouth feels cool, But ours, I think has a just much more of these sweeter, more complex, more floral characteristics, and I attribute that to using local rye varietal.
Matt, what are you getting on this one?
On the nose, I'm picking up like green apple on the nose, and then Haley, like you were saying, floral, like a little bit of rose petal.
I always get floral notes on those.
Yeah, definitely get floral notes on that for sure.
I get green apple and like a little bit of honey or some sort of a sugar, a sweet honey.
Yeah, definitely the sweetness to it. And then on the palate, though, that rye kicks in. I mean, even though it's only 56%.
Oh, it's there.
It's there. It's not it's not hiding anywhere. Even with that corn percentage in there to make it a little bit sweeter, you still get that spice off it. And I love it when you can get that. You get that sweetness and you get that contrasting spiciness to it as well. Mm-hmm. I love that.
I think that's what helps too. Is like we fit that traditional rye lover. That you want that spice, you want that robust flavor profile, and so you get that. But you also, if you're not typically attuned to that, you'd be more willing to try it. And kind of pick up some different things. I don't know. To me, it's like it's a balance of so many great worlds that I don't know. This one's my favorite.
This is your favorite?
Yes.
Is it?
Yes.
What about you, Jerod?
Well, I just want to say this one in particular, the nose is outstanding. I don't know if I've had this barrel before. We actually
I don't think I have.
It was kind of just set up on the shelf, and so we just opened this bottle for you guys got here.
Nice.
And wow, this nose is just amazing. Like it tastes great too. Don't get me wrong, but the nose is one of those that's just kind of every reason I like to drink whiskey. It's in there right now. You got some char, you got the oak, you got the fruit flavors. You've got, I don't know, it just smells almost like an old timey church picnic. Like you'd think, with gingham, blankets out and just all the good, fixings all done up, and it just smells real good.
Except they wouldn't be drinking rye whiskey at a church picnic.
Depends on what kind of church you go to.
Well, that's true. That's that's a very good point, right? Yeah, very good point. Yeah, I really like this. Like I said, that spiciness on the palate for me really gets it, and I almost get like a little bit of a black tea.
Earl Grey. I always get like that kind of lavender black tea. Like, I'm with you there.
I picked that up just a little bit. It's not drying. It's not tannic. It doesn't, it doesn't leave a drying effect like sometimes or like a bitterness like a black tea can get sometimes. Because I've had ryes where you get, not only do you get the black tea flavor, but then you kind of get that drying effect. Yeah, it sucks all the moisture out of your mouth. This one doesn't do that at all, but I like that flavor. I get the spiciness, but then I get that hint of that tea flavor to it as well a little bit. So yeah, definitely a fan of this one for sure. What about you, Matt?
Yeah, the taste, I get a lot of caramel on the taste. Like there's a whole lot of caramel. I'm getting graham cracker.
Yeah, I can see that, man.
Graham cracker.
I love it when you suggest things, because then I'm like, I see that.
That's the way I like to do it, though, is because, like, I don't know, there's obviously chemical compounds that are making up your flavors, right? And if you want to get super analytical about it, like, like acetyl, diacetyl, isoamyls, all these things that are like making up these like textbook flavor profiles. So, that's why you get these repetitive notes of like, oh, it's caramel, it's toffee, it's oak, it's blah, blah, blah. And it's because of all that. So that's why I appreciate the creativity, just because it's like, well, yeah, you can say that, but it's, it's a complex drink. Make it what you want it to be. I've said like, oh, I taste funfetti cake, and it's, it's a true suggestion by me. Yeah. It's what I really tasted. But, some people are like, really? But it is. It's the beauty of having a complex drink. So graham crackers and all those things.
Yeah. And what, I love about bourbons and ryes is that, for me, we're talking about bubblegum earlier, and I talk about this all the time. So another Bourbon Life bingo, right? The old baseball cards the Topps baseball cards when you got that gum, that stick of gum out, you know, with that powder, that cornstarch or whatever was all over it. That sweet, as soon as you open the pack, you get that sweet smell of that bubble gum. A lot of times when I drink a rye, now I don't get it off of this one, but I just love the fact sometimes when you're drinking these, it can just trigger those memories or trigger something in your past, and you're like, oh my God, that reminds me of this. You know, Matt's got that with the Heaven Hill, the old green label or white label.
Yeah, old Bottled and Bond.
The old Bottled and Bond, that peanut butter
pie.
His grandma's peanut butter pie.
Oh,
you know,
nice.
Yeah, so I love it when a whiskey can kind of take you back in time to some other place and remind you of a certain time. It's really cool. So, but yeah, I'm a big fan of this one as well. And again, this is another bottle. I actually got a bottle of this. What's that place called? Barrels and Brews down in outside of Nashville. They did a pick.
They were one of the first picks we did. Like one of the first 10 picks we did was Barrels and Brews.
Was it really?
I believe so. Yeah.
I picked it up. I think it was last. I think it was December. I was down there to visit family, and somebody had told me about. Well, I think it was Mike Hines who talked about Barrels and Brews and whatever. So I was like, I'm gonna have to check. Didn't realize it was like a 30-minute drive outside of Nashville to find them, but it was well worth the trip. And they had their barrel pick rye, so I picked it. It was fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Now, so these are bottled in bond too, right? I mean, everything, is that right or no?
No,
because this is a barrel pick.
This is just barrel strength.
Yeah, so it can't be. Duh.
But it is Kentucky straight, so it is 4 years old.
4 years.
Yeah,
that's where I was trying to go with that. I'm sorry.
It has, you know, it's got its monikers, it's got its rings, it's got to go through too. But it is, yeah. So it's a minimum of 4 years old for that, and then just barrel strength for it as well. So
yeah. So now this is at 110. What do you guys? Can you say what you barrel at, or do you? I mean, would you go into the barrel?
Sure. For this one, it's 100 proof, right?
Yeah.
That one might be.
Was 110.
Was 110?
Yeah. The rye whiskey has gone through. It's gone in at 100 and 110 through some different things we did. We're back down to 100 proof on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
We started off at 100 proof.
Okay.
Just a quick refresher. We started off doing a barrel a day. And when we was doing our rye whiskey, rye is majority rye instead of corn, right? So there's less starches, so you actually got a little bit less yield. So we started when we was doing that barrel a day, we actually had to go in a little bit lower proof, just we had to with the rye because we wasn't making as much.
Sure.
With that, yeah. So that 100 proof, and then we switched it to 110 proof like we do our bourbon. So all of our bourbons do go in at 110 on the barrel.
Yeah.
But now we're back to 100 proof on the rye. So we'll start seeing those back on the market recently. And just a quick note that reminds me that, while what we're drinking here today, everything is pot distilled. Really soon we're going to be getting into our column distilled stuff.
Oh, okay.
And it just gets better for me. Everybody thinks pot distilled's better. It's more old timey, right? No, like the column for me is the way to go. It's much more easier to get it and keep it the way you want it. There's less variation, less things that can go wrong, less inputs that it has to receive, right? Sure.
So I was going to ask you, I mean, do you guys have a profile that you go for every time? I mean, is it like, we want it to taste like this, and we're going to... That's okay. You can come on in, Macaulay. That's all right, man.
Family.
Yeah.
This is Macaulay. Macaulay Minton is our barrel program director. Yeah. You guys met Macaulay a couple times before. We met Macaulay
back in February. Yeah. That's right. We did.
Sure did.
We've been talking about his work for a little bit anyway.
Looks like he's getting ready to pour some samples for everybody. He's
busy doing some things. And you'll see if you look on the side label here, it'll indicate. So if you guys start seeing bottles on the market and you see, be looking for whether or not it's pot distilled or column distilled, because we're entering that time like now.
Gotcha.
So that'll be something to look for. And right now, we've gone through and have 2 active, I guess. We've total 3 distillation systems, but 2 that we constantly use. And so the first one was with that pot still. Mm-hmm. And now we are on 2 column still distillation systems. Okay. And they're just vary in size. And so we're now tasting in the barrel things from our largest column still. And so we are able to, but we're still really fond of the first still, I think, or our first column still is being our favorite, right now.
18-inch.
Yeah, the 18-inch column still. So
you're tasting the nuances, the differences between
starting to, yeah.
Interesting.
We think we've kind of got it down to maybe, even though these they're built identical, right? Shane has made sure that everything about them is identical, but I think the thing they're toying around right now with is the idea of the steam being affecting the flavor a little bit.
Interesting.
But both still being really, really good, just bringing out different nuances here versus there and kind of comparing the two. But yeah, be on the lookout for our column still stuff, which should be happening now.
It'll be. Let's see. It's 3:42 on Monday. It should be happening in about 15. No, just kidding.
And that'll be 4-year-old product.
Yes.
Okay.
4-year-old product.
Nice. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I tell you what, we kind of stretched this one out, but we were doing two different things, so we had to stretch this one.
Sometimes you gotta stretch.
You got to do that, man. I don't think our listeners are going to care, and we had to talk about running because I wanted to know.
Runners got to stretch.
That's right.
I'm so honored. I'm so flattered.
Well, no, I wanted to know because I saw your post, and I was like, man, I've got to ask her about that because after I did the Ironman, I was training for a 50 miler in Indiana and broke my toe. While trail running, and
I feel you.
Yeah, so then I just stopped, and then never got back into it. So I never earned a buckle. So when I saw that, I was like, "Damn!" Much respect.
That's right. You know how it feels. You know how it feels.
Man, that's awesome.
Thank
All
you.
right, so closing out on the rye, Matt, what are your thoughts on this one?
2 thumbs way up.
You're a rye guy, man. We know that.
I am. This is great. This barrel, like you were saying, Jerod, this really was something special. Mm-hmm. This bottle,
it's really good.
That was great. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, definitely, man. That's great. I love it. Love the rye. Like I said, I got the bottle I had is the Barrels and Brews from Nashville, but it was awesome as well. So definitely, I'm sure you guys enjoyed as well. There's no question about it.
We're fans.
We're fans. All right, well, I'll tell you what. We'll take a quick break, get a word from our sponsor, and we'll be back in just a second with more with Haley and Jerod. So everybody sit tight. We'll be right back.
Pinhooking is an old Kentucky term for purchasing young thoroughbreds, holding them until they mature, and selling them when they are ready to run. Successful pinhooks, much like whiskey, are made on instinct, experience, an appreciation of quality, and a little daring. Pinhook, straight bourbon whiskey.
All right, everybody, welcome back for the third and final session and or round of the Bourbon Life Podcast. I'm your host, Mark, and with me, as always, is Matt. Matt, how you doing now?
Hey, Mark, I'm doing great.
Great. I'm doing great, too.
Yeah, exactly. We are back for session number 3 of the Bourbon Life Podcast, and joining us are Haley and Jerod from Wilderness Trail.
Welcome.
Here we are.
Awesome.
I like how you said, "How are you doing now?"
Yeah, I know.
few samples deep. We're doing
samples
great.
deep, a little bit of white dog. Yeah, absolutely. We're doing great.
Yeah, we're doing really good this afternoon. I think.
Yeah.
I am anyway. So yeah, so we're thankful you guys. Well, no, Matt, that's your line. I can't say it.
Oh, thank you for giving it to me. I was actually going to say before we get too far, thank you all for having us over here to spend the afternoon with you all, and for talking to us about Wilderness Trail and sharing some of your delicious products with us. And hopefully our listeners will be able to take this knowledge that you all are imparting and go out, make educated decisions about buying your products and tasting what it is. That
wasn't the line I was talking about, though, Matt. I was going to say, you've stayed around this long. You might as well stick around for the exciting conclusion.
Okay, well, we'll do that too. So anyway.
We're off script. We've gone rogue. Yeah.
Damn it. We're crazy. We're going nuts here, man. We had a little sample during the break, so we can't,
Yeah.
So, all right. So we're back with round 3 with Haley and Jerod. So tell us what we've got in our third and final session here.
You lucky ducks have our 6-year-old wheated bottled and bond bourbon. So our first thing that we tasted at the beginning of the episode here, but now we've just aged it 2 more years, 6-year mark finally, and we're just really excited to finally have this out. I know kind of 6-8 years and above are kind of the magic numbers, when we talk about especially wheated products specifically. But for us too, as Wilderness Trail, we had a goal of 6 years. We had a goal of reaching this point, and honestly, early on, we were like, 6 years. Once we reach that point, you won't see anything else from us. Like, we're not going to go anywhere. And cut to when we're actually aged to 6 years and we've sold so much of our wheated product that we don't have enough to keep it at exclusively 6.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, which is why, like right now, it's kind of a unicorn bottle, if you will.
Yeah.
And probably will be for the next a year, 2 years, maybe. First of all, being, that when we started making product, we were at a barrel a day.
Right.
It was Shane, it was Pat, it was their, begrudging wives and people like Jerod and Mike that were helping out, and that was it. That was all we had. And cut to 2016 is when we got the first column still.
Yeah.
2016 when we got our first column distillation system, that allowed, we moved out here, everything like that allowed us to start making 12 barrels a day. So we are just now entering the 12 barrel a day mark. So hopefully, soon. And now that we, the 36-inch column still allows us for 230 barrels a day. So yes, wow, yes, right? That one,
wow,
that number always gets some reactions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, we will finally be in greater allocation as the years go on. But we, that was just like I don't know, we were so proud. We're like 6 years. That's all, once you see that, nothing else. And then we sold through so much of our 4-year product that we were like, okay, maybe 6 years. You're going to see that sort of for the next couple of years. Keep your eyes out. And that's going to be it. And to that too, I will say, some of it's, we're very feedback oriented. Yeah. Everything we do, we adjust to the market. We do everything. We hear everybody's input, all those fun things. All complaints can go to Shane Baker and Pat Heist. I'll share their emails at the end. But a lot of people have said, and almost a little scared because they've heard Jerod and I preach this so many times of like, the 4 years gonna, we really won't have that anymore once we reach 6. Mm-hmm. And they've been like, is it gonna go? They've been nervous about it because so many people have said, why, the 4 years great,
right?
Why touch it? Why take it away? Mm-hmm. And so that was another thing that we were like, okay, well maybe we'll keep that around. So we're kind of weighing our options and seeing, we want to always continue to have those special releases, the 6, the 8, the 10, all those fun products. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of been one of those things where we've had so many people overwhelmingly pleased with the 4-year, especially with the wheated, to the point where we had to cut off. We can't give barrel picks of the wheated anymore.
Wow.
Yeah, which is a fantastic problem to have.
Sure.
Still a problem. But so the 6-year will be very limited still for the next, I would say, at least year to year and a half.
Gotcha.
Year and a half to 2 years, I'll say.
Mm-hmm.
But we're excited to have it, especially because it was especially the first little release of it, Kentucky only.
Right. I got one of those bottles.
Yeah.
In the fancy box.
There we go. There you go.
Yes. Yeah. That was really cool. And the shot glasses. So got the 2 little Wilderness Trail shot glasses and the bottle. So So Matt and I, we actually tasted this one before. And it's funny because, we won't go back and revisit what we said the first time. We'll get a fresh nose on this one. But for me, the first time, I almost had a little bit of a tannic finish to it. Mm-hmm. It was a little almost drying. But going back on this one, I'm not picking that up on this at all. Nice. Which is nice. Because I think you get the complexity of that 4-year-old, and you've taken it out 2 more years. So for me, I pick up some of a little bit, I guess kind of like a smokiness almost from those 2 extra years that I pick up. And on the initial one that I had, I got some tannic taste to it, a little drying effect on the end, but I'm not picking that up on this one at all. So it could just be that revisiting the bottle, it's, that I'm getting a different taste of it, but it's good. Matt, what are you picking up over there?
I get oak on the nose, and actually I get a little bit of licorice. Mm-hmm. Like red licorice.
Interesting.
coming through.
Yeah, I mean, definitely sweetness. Like I said, with the 4-year-old, it's similar, but it's more complex. It's to me, on the palate, especially with a smokiness to it, and maybe a little oakiness as well. What about you guys? What do you all get on this one?
Yeah, same for me. This one hits kind of all the classic, boxes on a Kentucky bourbon. Caramel, oak,
right?
Char, vanilla. It's coming through in spades on all of those.
Yeah.
I do get that tannic part of it, but I really, really like it in this. This just tastes like a classic whiskey. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like as this 6-year-old, I've had some of our barrels that were better. This one is very well rounded, though. You know what I mean? It seems like it's not like really excelling in one thing huge for me, but it's just a good solid bourbon. Like this is one of those bourbons that I could drink bottles upon bottles upon bottles of and not get tired of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if you could find it.
If you could find it. Yeah.
Well, you might have an inside track.
No.
We wish.
Me and Haley, luckily for us, we do have access to plenty of our whiskeys. But when it comes to the 6-year-old, we way sold it. Yeah. So that's kind of been anything we buy of that has been out of our own pocket.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I know it's one of those things like where I remember reading one of my favorite books, The Social History of Bourbon by Gerald Carson. And in there he's kind of quoting, old Pappy, Julian Van Winkle the first, getting on one of his salesmen for buying a bottle for somebody. He's like, we're not here to make it by the barrel and buy it back by the bottle. But that's what I do, man. I'll tell you the worst about it though is Pat Heist.
Oh, Pat probably holds a large percentage of our bottles.
Yeah, I can't imagine like the CEO of like Post Cereal going out and like buying different bottles of cornflakes or different boxes of Pop-Tarts, from Kroger just because, hey man, this one's really good. The blueberries really hitting hard on this one, man. Yeah. That's Pat though. Pat, he does big time, man.
That's
big
great.
Time. He probably spends the equivalent of my yearly salary on buying our own whiskey back from bars and restaurants and different stores.
Like I don't know. I feel like that's the ultimate fan right there. He makes it. He
I was going to say, man.
Like,
living the dream.
You make it and you love what you make. I mean, you want to keep it close to your heart, right? So what about you, Haley? What do you get on this one?
So on the nose, for some reason, the thing that comes to my mind is those cinnamon Pop-Tarts, the cinnamon apple Pop-Tarts. I get like just that buttery, flaky, kind of spicy, a little bit of sweetness mixed in.
A lot of cinnamon on that.
Right? Yeah. But then taste-wise, I get more of those deeper oak flavors. A little bit, it's more savory on the flavor profile. A little bit of, I don't want to say, kind of that old barn flavor a little, but also still some fruit notes. I still got a lot of apple, like green apple.
Okay. And the mash bill, this is the same as the, obviously, right? So
same. So, and that's the other, here's another side by side you can do for all you experimenters out there.
Okay.
But now we're, take that yellow label, same mash bill, same process, same everything. But now we've just aged it to, 1 to 2 more years, depending on which bottle you get. But that's the amazing thing about aging is as much as we can try to regulate and line out as much as we can, we have this process. Pat and Shane are, they've picked out these exact corn varietals, these exact wheat varietals. We're working with a seed grade producer. We're, using all this technology, all these things to kind of regulate what we have and then put it in the barrel. And then that's where all your variables come into play, right? You have 33 to 35 staves in this barrel from 70 to 100-year-old white oaks that could vary in climate and vary in where they grew up. And we also do what we call is an 18 to 24 month stave dry on all of our staves.
Oh, okay. Right.
So for our staves, we allow them, basically that stave dry just means that they are exposed to the elements essentially for a year to 2 years at this point. And allowing to do that means they're exposed to more fungi, more bacterial, more just micronutrients, things like that. They're basically getting weathered, right? Right. And as they get weathered, what what we're finding, or we're kind of the thought process behind it, is that it is making that wood more permeable, basically, at this point. To accessing those wood sugars, all those flavor profiles, which we think helps with that early aging process as well. But then, you're looking at here's 0 to 4 years, and really those first, several years are just the flavors intermingling. They're kind of moving in and out of the wood. But they're really working with extracting those heavy sugars right off the bat, right? They're getting all that right off the bat. They're getting all those just like low hanging fruit, essentially. And then you have enough evaporative loss from, 5 to 10 years at that point, to start to really add to more oxidation to the barrel, right? And so really getting into those deeper oaky flavors, that allows for that more complex flavor profile to come through. So it's kind of fun to see, okay, here's this yellow, here's this 4-year-old, here's this 6-year-old, boom, boom, side by side. What is that like? So kind of fun to try. And of course for us too, we're still figuring out with our like rick houses, like where's the prime, where's the honey holes?
The honey holes. Yeah.
Where's all that at?
And you guys are, so you guys have been, as a distillery, Firm Solutions has been open for a while. You said almost 20 years, right? So the distillery, I guess, has been operating since like 2013. Is that right? All right. So 7 years, but we drive up here and it's like, there's another rick house going on. There's another rick house going on. There's another rick house. So you guys are like putting up rick houses like all the time, right?
All the time.
Right.
Yeah.
And for the foreseeable future, we purchased some property last year across the way from us. So
we saw the backhoe going across the street.
Yeah, we saw that this morning, right?
We had to stop for the backhoe to go across the street.
There's going to be 11 more going up over there. So it's getting serious.
And those are 30,000?
24 to 50,000.
Okay.
There'll be a couple different sizes. Sometimes we thought we'd already have a 50,000 built, but it's not because we necessarily want one. It's just Busick Construction, the people that are the default rick house builders, right?
Right.
If you want a still, you get Vendome. If you want a rick house, you get Busick.
Gotcha.
And sometimes it's just available on what kind of crew they can spare, that kind of stuff, because they're in very high demand.
Yeah, I can imagine. But you guys are definitely keeping them busy out here. So you said you're going up to how many barrels a day off the tall column?
Well, so our pretty much, if we were pulling max, it'd be 230. I would say on average we are at about 175 to 200 barrels.
Well, now we have the third shift, so now we're
at 200.
We're putting up there, mid 200s. If we're going wide open, running 7 days a week, we'll put out the equivalent of about 70,000 barrels for the entire year. Which is really pushed us up there. We went from 200 barrels a year to now 70,000 barrels a year. Yeah.
So, and you guys, I think I saw something today or the other day that you guys are like the number 15 producer now in the distillery. Is that right?
As far as production goes, and it's been a little bit since we looked into it, and of course things change so much in the whiskey industry, right? But whenever I believe this was in last year, 2019. I got to think of what year we're in for a minute. Right?
I know. It feels like
where are we?
Yeah, a decade ago in 2019, Chuck Cowdery.
It seems like it, right?
Yeah. So Chuck Cowdery had put out some stuff based on proof gallon. Proof gallon's 1 gallon at 100 proof.
Yeah.
Capacity per year, and at that point we were right behind George Dickel, so that put us at the 14th largest whiskey distillery. And I'd imagine it's still probably 14 to 15, 16 around that area.
So obviously we don't have Pat and Shane here to ask them, but do you think they ever thought when they started this? Did they say, "Gosh, man, we're going to be one of the biggest distillers in the country"? Was that?
Well, if I can answer that, Haley, I'm going to say no, they didn't think it.
That's what I was going to say.
But if you showed up to them today, it would not surprise them.
Okay.
Though.
Yeah.
Pat and Shane, they're two guys, and I work for them, right? They sign my checks.
Sure.
So when I say stuff about them, right, you might be a little tempted to think it's BS. But they're two awesome guys that I would put my full support behind anything they decided to do.
Yeah.
They're just those kind of people, right? They're those people that just have that attitude and that drive behind them, that they're going to succeed at whatever they do. So if they wanted to open an artisanal, craft, pickle company,
pickles,
I would be all in.
Would you buy it then?
Would you eat pickles then?
I would develop my palate to be a pickle aficionado. So yes, I would. Yeah.
These are the 6-year-old aged pickles
right?
that had cucumbers and pickles are cucumbers. Damn it, that was not good, was it?
It would be great on tasting notes. It'd be like hints of dill. Tastes like pickle. Yeah, that would be my entire note.
Yeah, so, there you go. I get hints of dill off of this pickle. But no, I understand it. We've I've met them twice, I guess now, and anytime I've been around them, very down to earth, humble guy. You would not. I mean, when you hear what they've accomplished with Firm Solutions, and then also going forward from that to what they've done with Wilderness Trail, you wouldn't, when you talk to these guys, you would not think that they are some of the biggest providers of yeast to other companies all around the world, and then also one of the biggest distilleries in the world. Sure, it's crazy.
Yeah. When you meet Pat, he kind of looks like a high-level meth dealer from Missouri.
Oh my God!
And you never
welcome to the show, Ozarks.
Yeah, exactly.
and you would never know just based on that judging that book by its cover that he's the world's foremost fermentation expert.
Yeah.
Shane is a little bit more clean cut with his beard, but he's laid back. Shane hasn't worn a suit since I don't know when.
Very nice.
A long time. And you wouldn't know that he's one of America's best entrepreneurs. Right. Shane's got that gene in him that very few can match.
And that's what I'm going to ask you guys. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say he's got that beautiful business mindset. I mean, one of the, he's always aware of that's one of the reasons why our distillery runs so efficiently, right? Is having all that there. But then from a business standpoint, making those connections, filling holes where they need to be and those things. I mean, he's always all over it, always thinking ahead to the next thing. So.
Yeah. And that's something I was going to bring up too, is recently they were awarded a very, very, very prestigious award. Yeah. From Ernst & Young, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, one of the big four companies, big four accounting firms out there.
Yeah, so they were named, if I remember correctly, the 2020 Entrepreneurs of the Year for the East Central region. Is that right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about what that was.
Well, so that's just up there with, all you think about America, right? We're almost 400.
America.
Yeah,
here we are.
But we're a big country. We're 370 million people or so now. Yeah. It's crazy. So there's a whole lot of folks here, and it's just I guess Ernst & Young was kind of recognizing some of the best entrepreneurs out there, and Shane and Pat, they've built 2 successful companies from scratch. Sure. With very little, and with as far as Wilderness Trail, with no outside financing. It's just using. Playing the market against itself and being able to grow that way and really being able to see beyond things. I get a little advantage. I want to find out how to enjoy that, right? Shane gets an advantage. He wants to find out how to multiply that and make more of them, right? So it's just that kind of mindset with it.
And they were judged on, it was based on you had to fit a lot of standards, and some of them were things like, your social impact, environmental impact, things like that, right. And I think for these guys, especially this year, we always try to do our, give back in every way. Cancer is a big thing that we always try to do everything with. I don't know if you have the explicit, but we have the F cancer, thing that we try to do.
That's what ended up with that barrel you guys were talking about, the 15-year-old barrel.
Yeah, the 15-year-old
was cancer barrel.
Yeah.
Which was a double down, right? So that was bought. They bought that barrel at a charity auction.
Yeah, that was like the Will It to be cured or something.
It's a cancer auction, right? So we bought it for the cancer auction, then aged it another year, and then also sold it for more cancer benefits. So
now, I remember
really double down on that.
When I was here for the festival, the barbecue festival, and Shane drilled in and gave us a little taste of that, which was just fun. I was like, "You guys want to finish that? Can I have yours?"
Can you taste?
He said that the goal was to I don't know, they didn't say how much they spent on that barrel when they bought it at the charity, but they said our goal is to see how much we can raise. Yeah. By selling the bottles of this. And unfortunately, I was not able to get a bottle of that. But I did get to taste it straight out of the barrel, which was awesome. But do you guys know how much money they raised off? Any idea what they raised off?
I don't know the cumulative, but
okay, it had to be a lot.
It was a lot.
Several $1,000s.
Yeah, it was big. I think
over 100,000.
Yeah, because by the time that you got to understand that I say we, like Pat and Shane. I'll say we. I'm part of the crew,
you
right?
were. You're part of the family.
I'll spend their money.
Welcome home.
So
your family. Your family.
We bought that, from Willett at a price that was inflated to help with charity, right? So so we kind of got to double down. We got to have help with that money, and then to raise our own amount for it.
Yeah,
and it was really spectacular, because sometimes you buy an old barrel of whiskey and you don't want it to get older, right? But this is one we let it get another year older, and it ended up being really, really excellent. It was a low yielding barrel. I think 99 bottles came out of it.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's right at 99 bottles. Yeah.
Well, that makes sense after that time period. Yeah. But yeah,
so how much you probably took out of it at the moment.
Yeah, right. He was like, let me just one more.
And I should note too that that's the one and only barrel of whiskey that Wilderness Trail has ever sourced from anyone else.
Yeah,
very nice.
There you go.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say that, and that's crazy because a lot of these new, you've got non-distilling producers out there that are sourcing everything.
Yeah,
but then,
some from us.
Yeah, there you go. And then you've got distillers that are still sourcing, while they're letting their stuff age. But you guys never did that.
No,
it was just
not from the start.
Yeah, which is very, very unique and very rare these days, which is just very exceptional, and speaks volumes about Shane and Pat, and what they wanted to do, obviously.
Well, that's folks that have a high level of confidence in what they do, knowing that what they would put out on the market would probably be better than what they would source. So there's not a need to try to convince people that now you're better because you made it, because usually it goes the other way.
Right,
you're sourcing it. Look, MGP gets a bad rap, but MGP makes a lot of damn good liquor comes out of there. And it's really hard for a craft or a smaller distillery without a lot of resources for quality control and stuff like that to produce something near as good as an MGP.
Right.
So a lot of times when their stuff does get ready, it's a huge fall off in quality.
Sure.
So we didn't want to do that. We wanted to I won't say like that purist mindset, but we wanted to what had our name on it come from our labor.
Right.
So
that makes sense.
And even to take a step on top of that and make it a bottled and bond product.
Sure.
On top of that, it wasn't just we had a lot of pressure to release a 2-year product.
Yeah, I was going to say, you didn't do a 2 or 3 year, which is crazy.
Absolutely. And we resisted, and, thankful that we did, that we waited. We wanted it to be what it was. And we didn't fold on any of that. And it's hard when you're a distillery and and a lot of distillers do this. You're peddling vodka or something else that is unaged, and they're like, great, can't wait for your real products to come out. And you're like, soon, someday.
So now, but you guys do contract distill for other people, I'm assuming. I don't want to get into your private business, but I'm
behind
assuming
the curtains.
It's something we're proud to talk about because that actually helps us be who we are now. Like with us doing that contract distilling, that lets us make money now to expand our business.
Right.
Because what we're selling now was made on a pot still at a barrel a day. We're kind of starting now to get into that column stuff.
Yeah.
But it's kind of hard to build 24 rick houses and have, hundreds of acres of property off the income of selling a barrel a day. So being that producer for other folks, right now, somewhere around 35% or so of what we make is going to other distilleries, but that's income that we get to pay our day-to-day costs. It pays mine and Haley's salary, that kind of stuff. And then lets us keep in full control of our brand. That's really important that we don't have silent investors that somebody might need to get their money out next year and all of a sudden we're doing everything at 3 years because we got to pay this guy back, right?
Right.
Pat and Shane are the sole owners of Wilderness Trail, so it's really cool that the future of the company kind of rests with them and nobody else.
Yeah. Now, are they both from here, or are they from around? Or?
So Haley is really the only kind of the
Danville,
of the big crew.
Danville.
Yeah, but it's not like we're not from around here. So Shane's from Lancaster, Garrett County, right? Which which next county over, but if you needed anything, you came to Danville, right? So he's pretty much from Danville.
Sure.
Pat is from, most of his family's from northern Kentucky, but Pat himself and his dad and stuff are down from Clinton County. So down on Albany, down on the Tennessee line.
Yeah.
We're down the territory of a lot of illicit liquors coming from that way.
There you go.
Yeah. And Danville's just been that great place for them to come together because Shane does have roots around here.
Okay.
But being here, being close to Lexington, actually, Haley and I both work out of Lexington. You guys are from Lexington.
Sure.
Yeah.
We're close to Lexington, 45 minutes away. We're an hour and 5 minutes away from Louisville, which is, UPS's worldwide headquarters.
Right.
So,
Right.
so that's a huge deal for Firm Solutions. So that's one reason why we could stay here. Well, Firm Solutions does a lot of real-time data analysis. So meaning that like we need that overnight delivery. If your distillery needs analysis and you're in Connecticut, you're going to UPS next day air or something that we're getting by 10 a.m.
Sure.
And the big important part of that is being so close to Louisville. But we're still here in the bluegrass. We're still here on that wonderful, limestone, aquifer here. Right. It's great. We got all the kind of perks of being, kind of in a Lexington or Bardstown or Louisville as far as bourbon production. We're just as close to the barrels being made and all that stuff.
Sure.
Yeah.
But we get to be in kind of our own little niche town here of Danville, which is, an absolutely, freaking gorgeous town.
It is.
It's great to be here.
Danville's a really cool town. I'm obviously grew up in Eastern Kentucky, but been in Lexington for longer than I care to admit. So Danville's off, and Burke's Bakery is probably one of my favorite.
Burke's Bakery, absolutely. Danville's also the home of Pappy Van Winkle himself. Was born and raised here. Yeah,
I did not know that.
Okay, the house he was born in, grew up in, still stands on Maple Street. He was an alumni of Center College.
Okay.
Yeah, man. So a lot of good bourbon history here. Actually, the very first licensed distillery in Kentucky. Was just right down the road at the confluence of the Dix River and the Hanging Fort Creek.
Really?
Before Evan Williams even had a dream about starting his little place up there on the wharf in Louisville. There was the Virginia legislator granted.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Now I'll say that's the first license because. Pretty damn sure they was probably making liquor at Cumberland Gap when they were coming across.
Yeah, they're bringing it with them, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
But a lot of good history here, man, and so glad you guys could come here today. It's our pleasure to host you guys.
Well, I tell you what, before we wrap it up, what's going on future wise? I mean, obviously we got the 6-year-old that came out this year, right? So we did that, and I know when I was in the warehouse with Shane and Pat, there were a couple of different things that or at least one thing that what Shane tapped into with the drill. That involve not just wheat and rye, but maybe a combination thereof of some form possibly. But are there other things that you guys are working on, things that are coming out or things you want to share or can share with our listeners?
Sure. Starting some rumors there. So you can try our also our 6-year rye.
Oh,
High Rye Bourbon.
High Rye Bourbon is out.
Okay.
Also only available here at our gift shop right now. And we haven't really talked a lot about it just because we are very limited in those quantities as well.
Gotcha.
But it is out. You can taste it, try it, love it. So good. And we're hoping to get that out and make more of like an official release of it probably next year.
Okay.
The 6-year wheat was a challenge with the year that it has been.
Sure.
And we just want to try to be a little bit responsible about that. But then additionally, we are coming out with a line. We're playing off of our rye, which if you've ever seen Settler Select on our rye whiskey. So we are making a lower proof version of that.
Okay.
And pointing to
see the bottle up there. Yeah,
back there.
I couldn't read it. I was like, what does that say?
It's a 92 proof version of that. And kind of the idea behind that is a couple things really, but one of them being for more of a cocktail beverage.
Okay.
For those that, it's oddly enough, people have dubbed Pat and Shane like the high proof guys. And really like, there's a lot more high proof out there, but we've gotten a rep now, so we gotta appease the crowds. But really, it allows us to be more flexible with cocktails. And that's the other thing is, we work with accounts all day long, and a lot of bourbon and whiskey purists have said like, I will not put this in anything. Like this has to be straight or
it's just neat. Yeah,
neat or nothing.
Yeah.
Need to get out of my bar,
Right.
And as much as I appreciate you for that, we want everybody to have a go at this, right? I've had people say, "Oh, sorry, can I?" I'm gonna drink this, but I'm gonna chase it with some Coke. And I'm like, whatever makes you drink it.
Drink it any damn way you want to.
However you enjoy it, that's it. I mean, Mountain Dew was created as a mixer for bourbon, so whatever. So we're trying to be more cocktail friendly on that. Also, lower price point as well. So just like maybe if you see the proof on our bottle and get a little shy, a little hesitant, this will be another way for you to taste it, enjoy it, and try it from there. It'll be the same mash bill, just served at a lower proof. It's something that we toyed with before. Actually, before we even released a cask strength rye whiskey, we were trying it at different proofs, and there was this. We had settled on one going into it, and they were like, "Man, no, we really," because they do like high proof stuff. We do like higher proof stuff. We enjoy those flavor profiles, but we had, tasted it at 90, 92, 94, 90, just going up the line. And 92 proof seems to be the other like sweet spot that we're going in at. So just trying to do that for a little bit more of a broader reach, cocktails, things like that. Allow for people to try something else that maybe you're like, hey, I'm not really used to drinking this high of a proof.
Right.
A lot of people are, understandably so. And so we just want to be able to reach that audience and just kind of expand on who we are on different levels.
Nice. Any 4 grains or anything coming out by chance?
So this is what what you got to taste is probably not. We have some, as Jerod said before, we experiment, but we don't, it's usually for a purpose.
Right.
But we have some 4 grain stuff that we've aged. And maybe we should release. I don't know. It depends on what Mark says.
Well, I'm not going to say that I've had a 4 grain from Wilderness Trail, but it was delicious. We'll just leave it at that.
We're fans of it. So we have experimented with that. It's funny because I recently in the last 3 months, I would say, heard Shane talk about more and more, which usually is a good sign for that kind of stuff. Because in the past, it had been something where it was like, we're just going to, see, just age it, see what happens with it, and I've heard him bring it up probably 4 or 5 times in the last couple months, which means maybe he's toying with the idea of it. Yeah. So we will see. There are no plans. For everyone listening,
nobody's going to hold you to that.
There are no plans to do this as of now. However,
you never know, right?
There's some good feedback about it. Apparently,
it won't come out. It won't come out unless it's good.
Yeah.
That's the thing. A lot of folks have tried 4 grain, and some of the stuff people put out, it's like, hey, we made it, we better sell it. We don't want to be in that spot of we did some 4 grain, but it really tastes like crap, so we're gonna sell it anyway. But making sure all that's good, but. It's funny on that 4 grain. We do have some barrels that are real bangers, man, really, really good. But also, there's other barrels that are real misses, And so how do you kind of balance that out? And you know what I mean? So we'll see what ends up being those 4 grains.
Well, I'm not saying that I definitely did taste it, but it was awesome.
Whatever he had, it was delicious.
Yeah. So I have to thank Bill Bender and Mike Hines for inviting me to join them during the barbecue festival.
Mike Hines is the legend, man. You talk about like if you could live somebody's Instagram life, I wouldn't pick some dude swimming in infinity pools. I picked Mike Hines and his wall of Willet driving around Nashville in his side by side Razor.
Yeah.
Not even his Porsche, but he's got this little little 4-wheeler he rides around now.
Awesome. Mark and I speculate that he's actually Batman.
Yes, I get it.
I think Mike Hines is. I think he's Batman. I think he really is. And the wall of Willet, man.
Yeah, well, he's got the heart for it too. So
yeah, he does, man. He does a lot of great stuff. There's no question about it. So, well, all right, we're going to wrap it up on the 6th year. You know what? I have to say, I'm happy we came back. I'm glad we got to revisit this. I did not pick up that, like I said, the tannic, the bottle I had, it was a little drying on, everything was great, except to me that drying was just a little bit much, but on this bottle, not at all. I don't pick it up at all. So definitely 2 thumbs up on that one. It's the 4-year-old, but it's more complex. It's got the smokiness, the oakiness, the just that additional 2 years to it. So definitely enjoyed this one. So Matt, what about you?
Absolutely. I think the 2 years did wonders to it. Not that there's anything at all wrong about the 4.
Right.
It's just fun to compare them together and see where 2 extra years went.
Mad scientist.
Yeah. Exactly.
There you go. Yeah. Well, and you guys, obviously, I mean, you love it, right? So no question about it.
Yeah.
So where, as a social media expert for Wilderness Trail, why don't you tell people where they can find you guys?
Hello. So we are on Facebook, Wilderness Trail Distillery, Instagram at Wilderness Trail Distillery as well. On Twitter, we are at WT Distillery. So it's too long for the other stuff. We also do have a YouTube channel, and it is also just Wilderness Trail Distillery. We try to be consistent throughout all of it. And I just got us a Pinterest page, so you're welcome to try that out as well. Wilderness Trail Distillery.
Very nice.
Check us out on all the socials. We're trying to, especially here soon, we're going to be releasing a lot more video content.
Awesome.
Just different things. We just more sort of kind of behind the scenes stuff as far as, some stuff like fault testing, a little bit of information about our products.
Sure.
Fun things like that. So just kind of releasing more throughout the winter when people can't get out as much or don't want to. You know. So definitely check out the YouTube, and we'll definitely be sharing that through our other social profiles as well. So
very nice.
And also for the endurance athletes, be on the lookout for our Strava club coming out soon. You'll find Wilderness Trail runners on Strava by the end of the year.
Really?
They're going to have a little run club and stuff like that for the bourbon drinkers and runners.
Yeah.
I'll definitely join that.
There we go. Yes.
You got a member right here for sure.
All right. We got one signed up. Yes.
Matt's in there. All right, guys. We'll wrap it up and get out of here. But before we do, anything else you want to add before we close it out? Jerod, Haley?
No, man, nothing for us. You guys have been great. Thank you so much for coming. Thanks for kind of exploring, going through the whiskeys with us. It's always fun to drink with friends, drink with good people.
Yeah,
and kind of if you have anything to leave with people, like as much as you enjoy, expressing your choice in whiskey, express your choice in life and go both this fall too. So how about that?
Sounds great. Haley?
I don't know if I want to trample over that.
I was going to say the philosophical, you can't get much deeper than that.
That was so great. No, I'm just so thankful you all are here. It's nice to socialize and be with people. And thanks for going through all of our products with us. And it's always a good time to sit down with bourbon and friends.
Definitely. Mm-hmm. Matt, what about you before we close it out?
Hey, thank you all so much for having us down to Danville.
Yes.
And taking a Monday and getting us out of work.
There you go.
Thank you all so much for that, and for going through your products and everything that you all have had to do with them and what you all have got going on down here at Wilderness Trail. Thank you all so much for
You're welcome.
For letting us be guests.
Yeah,
welcome
definitely to our home.
Awesome. Well, I've got to thank our sponsors again. So I have to thank the Stave Restaurant out in Millville, Kentucky.
Love the Stave.
Yeah, man, they're
stuff.
Good food, and great food. I love what they're doing out there, and I love going to visit, hanging out. Took my wife out there for her birthday a couple of weeks ago and sat on the deck out there on the creek. We'd never done that before.
Nice.
So it was a great time. We love it out there, and love the food that Chef Jonathan makes out there. And then Pinhook Bourbon as well, our newest sponsor. We're thankful for them and everything that they're doing, and check them out online at pinhookbourbon.com. So with that said, Matt, if I can, after all these samples,
you got it.
I'm going to try to wrap us up and send us home. All right. Thank you, man. Our tagline, which is, may your glasses always be full, and may you keep on living the bourbon life.
Thank you for joining us for this week's episode of the Bourbon Life Podcast. Our mission at the Bourbon Life is simple: to share our passion for all things bourbon with you every week. And we'd really love to hear your thoughts on how we're doing. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at The Bourbon Life. You can also contact us by email at thebourbonlife@gmail.com. And you can always find us on your favorite podcast platform. If you have a moment, we'd love it if you would rate us and give us a review. So until next week, we hope your glass is always full and that you keep on living the bourbon life.